Picture this. You are exactly 1 minute away from a massive presentation.
Oh, yeah. The classic scenario.
Right. Your name is about to be called. The slide deck is glowing up there on the screen. And the room suddenly feels just so much quieter than it did just a few seconds ago.
You can hear a pin drop.
Exactly. And then it happens. Your mind goes completely blank. Your hands start getting cold, your breathing gets incredibly shallow, and your heart is just racing like it's desperately trying to escape your chest.
That's terrifying.
It really is. All of that meticulous preparation you did over the weekend, it just evaporates, leaving you sitting there with this suffocating question, why is my confidence completely disappearing right now when I need it the most?
Yeah.
If you have ever felt that, whether before a meeting, a job interview, or stepping out onto a stage, you are in the exact right place.
It is such a universal, overwhelming sensation. And the most important thing to understand right off the bat, before we even get into the mechanics of it, is that what you're experiencing in that moment is absolutely not a sign of mental weakness.
Right. It feels like failing, but it's not.
No, not at all. It's actually an ancient, highly evolved biological alarm system, one that's been hardwired into your brain for thousands of years. Your body literally thinks you are in mortal danger, and it is doing everything in its power to protect you.
Okay, but what if you didn't have to just sit there and be at the mercy of that ancient alarm system?
That's the dream.
Welcome to today's deep dive. The mission of our deep dive today is to uncover how you can build a literal physical secret button on your own body.
An invisible button.
An invisible button that you can press to instantly shut off that primal panic and summon a massive wave of total confidence in just a single second.
And to give some necessary context to that mission, we should probably clarify what neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP, actually is. It sounds like a really dense computer science term.
Yeah, very sci-fi.
Right, but it's really about the operating system of your mind. Neuro refers to your nervous system. Linguistic is about how you communicate with yourself, the internal language of your mind.
Okay.
And programming implies that, just like writing code for software, you can actually change your behavioral output if you change the internal input.
So we're not talking about, empty daily affirmations here.
Exactly. We are not talking about standing in front of a mirror, hyping yourself up with catchphrases. We're talking about hacking your nervous system using validated neurobiology to intentionally engineer your own emotional state.
Okay, let's unpack this, because before we can build this secret button and rewrite the code, we really need to understand what's actually happening in the hardware of the brain when that panic sets in. Like, who is the puppet master pulling the strings of our fear in that conference room?
That would be a tiny almond-shaped structure deep inside the temporal lobe of your brain. It's called the amygdala.
The amygdala.
Yeah, think of the amygdala as your brain's primitive, always-on security system. It is constantly scanning your environment for threats.
Always looking for trouble.
Always. When you feel nervous or pressured, the amygdala is the very first thing to light up. And when it detects a threat, it triggers what psychologists call an amygdala hijack.
A hijack? That's an intense word.
It fits perfectly, though. It essentially bypasses your logical, rational brain entirely and takes full, undisputed control of the wheel.
So it's essentially a hostile takeover of your nervous system.
That's exactly what it is.
And the physical sensation of that hijack is wild. I mean, we've all felt it. But what is actually happening in the bloodstream to make us feel so terrible in that moment?
Well, your body is being flooded with a very specific, potent chemical cocktail. The amygdala orders a massive hit of cortisol.
The stress hormone.
Right, which spikes your alertness to maximum levels. And right on its heels comes adrenaline, which pumps hard to skyrocket your heart rate and tense up all your major muscle groups.
Getting you ready for action.
Precisely. Your breathing gets short to take in more oxygen, your hands get sweaty to cool you down, and your focus narrows down to a pinpoint. Biologically speaking, you are fully prepped and ready to sprint away from a saber-toothed tiger.
Or fight for your life.
Exactly. The problem is the threat in front of you isn't a predator. It's just a room full of coworkers looking at a quarterly revenue slide deck.
Which is incredibly unhelpful when you need to speak articulately.
Very unhelpful.
Now think about the opposite of that feeling. Think about a time when you felt completely in the zone. You're articulate, you're sharp, you're reading the room perfectly. When I'm in that confident state, what is the brain giving me instead of that cortisol and adrenaline dump?
When you feel confident and in control, your brain activity shifts completely. You are no longer in survival mode. You're in optimal performance mode.
Okay.
The prefrontal cortex, which is the logic, reasoning, and decision-making center right behind your forehead, is firmly back in the driver's seat.
So the rational brain takes over again.
Yes. And the chemical cocktail reflects that. Your brain relies on positive neurotransmitters now. You have dopamine firing, which provides intense drive, focus, and motivation.
I love dopamine.
We all do. You also have serotonin, which stabilizes your mood and keeps you feeling calm and grounded. And you have a steady stream of endorphins providing a sense of comfort and mental toughness.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Because when you have that specific dopamine-serotonin combination running through your veins, pressure doesn't feel like a life or death threat anymore.
Not at all.
It just feels like a fun challenge. You can handle a tough question from the boss without missing a single beat.
That is the ideal state of mind, and figuring out how to get there on command brings us to one of the most incredible aspects of human biology.
This is the part of the source that blew my mind.
It's amazing. The human brain has this ultimate glitch, if you want to call it that, which we can actively exploit to get those chemicals. The central nervous system cannot firmly distinguish between an actual physical event happening in real time and a vividly visualized memory.
Here is where it gets really interesting, because that is the ultimate aha moment for me in this source material.
It changes everything.
It really does. If you sit down right now and imagine a past success, but I mean, really imagine it in extreme vivid detail, your body will start producing the exact same confidence hormones as if that success were happening to you right this very second.
The brain doesn't know the difference.
Right. Your posture naturally improves, your breathing slows down, your energy rises.
Yeah.
The memory isn't just a mental video file tucked away in a folder. It is an active chemical trigger.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, to understand how we can capture those hormones and tie them to a physical button, we have to look at the foundations of behavioral psychology.
Okay.
Most people listening are probably familiar with Ivan Pavlov and his early 20th century experiments with dogs.
Right, the classic experiment. Ring the bell, feed the dogs, eventually the dogs drool just from hearing the bell.
Exactly that mechanism. But what most people miss is how we can apply that classical conditioning to our own internal emotional states, not just physical reflexes like salivation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Pavlov proved that the brain can forge a brand new connection between a completely neutral stimulus, like a bell, and a highly meaningful biological response. The brain pairs them together until the neutral stimulus alone can trigger the automatic nervous system response.
And the crazy thing is, our brains do this to us naturally all the time, completely by accident.
They really do.
Think about it. Have you ever been driving and the first few notes an old song come on the radio and you instantly feel this massive, undeniable rush of nostalgia?
Oh, absolutely.
Or to use a personal example, I still cannot smell cheap vanilla body spray without instantly being transported back to the anxiety of my middle school locker room.
Oh.
Yeah, it hits me like a ton of bricks before I even process what the smell is. Those are natural anchors. Your brain built a bridge between an auditory sound or an olfactory smell and a deep emotional state entirely by chance.
That realization is what makes the NLP approach so powerful. Practitioners realized that if the human brain can accidentally create these powerful emotional anchors through random life experiences.
And we can absolutely design them consciously and intentionally.
Exactly. We don't have to wait for a coincidence to feel good. We can engineer the wiring ourselves.
And that is where we get to the actual design of the secret button. While songs and smells are great, the source material points out that the most effective way to build a button you can use anywhere is by creating a kinesthetic anchor.
A touch anchor.
Right.
Yeah.
That means using a specific physical touch on your own body. It is the best method because it's completely invisible. You can use it in a boardroom, sitting on a panel, or in an interview, and absolutely no one will know you're doing it. It doesn't draw any attention.
It's completely stealthy.
But I have to play devil's advocate for a second here. I understand how hearing a song from my childhood makes me nostalgic. But how does touching my own knuckle or pinching my fingers together compare to that? It feels almost too simple to actually hijack the nervous system.
That is a very fair skepticism. To understand why a simple physical touch can do that, we have to look at a concept in neuroscience called Hebb's law.
Hebb's law.
Yes. Hebb's law is a fundamental principle that explains how habits and automatic responses are formed in the brain. The famous phrase used to describe it is, neurons that fire together wire together.
Neurons that fire together, wire together. I love that. It's so catchy, but it explains so much.
It really is the foundation of learning. It means that if two distinct events happen in your brain at the exact same millisecond, the brain cells responsible for processing those events will build a strong physical connection.
So they link up.
Right. So if you are experiencing a massive rush of positive, confident, emotional chemicals, and at that exact same moment you press a specific spot on your skin, the brain notices that intense synchronization.
Okay, I see where this is going.
The hippocampus, which is your brain's meticulous memory recorder, steps in and essentially glues those two events together into a brand new neural pathway.
I know that the brain is constantly changing shape to accommodate new information. That's neuroplasticity, right?
Exactly.
But how does that apply to this single touch?
Well, neuroplasticity is the brain's lifelong ability to adapt, reorganize, and build new bridges based on intense experiences. So when you pair that massive emotional peak with the physical touch, the brain physically wires a shortcut.
A physical shortcut in the brain.
Yes. The next time you apply that specific touch, the signal doesn't have to slowly process through your logical brain to figure out how you should feel. It takes the newly built expressway straight to the emotional center, instantly releasing the stored chemicals.
Okay, so the science is sound. The question is, how do we actually build this expressway? The Gelonbang OTAC source material gives us a brilliant, highly specific, step-by-step installation guide.
It's very thorough.
Let's really slow down and walk through the exact protocol to install the secret button.
Sounds good.
Step 1 is getting into what they call the alpha state. The instructions are to sit down in a quiet space, get perfectly comfortable, close your eyes, and just breathe slowly. In through the nose, out through the mouth. But what is the alpha state, biologically speaking?
When you are going about your normal waking day, your brain is typically operating in what's called the beta frequency. It's fast, alert, and sometimes a bit anxious.
Like right before that presentation.
Exactly. By intentionally slowing your breathing and closing your eyes, you are physically altering your brainwave frequency, slowing it down into the alpha range.
Right.
This is a deeply relaxed, meditative state where the barrier between your conscious and subconscious mind is lowered. In the alpha state, your brain is much more open and suggestible to creating new pathways.
Which perfectly sets up step 2, vivid recall. You need to search your memory banks and select one specific peak moment in your life where you felt undeniable success.
A real peak moment.
Right. A moment where you felt brave, accomplished, or totally unshakable. Maybe you won an award, maybe you conquered a huge physical challenge, or maybe you just received some truly genuine, life-changing praise from someone you respect.
But there's a trick to this part.
Let me make sure I have this right. If I just picture watching myself win an award, like I'm watching a movie of my life on a TV screen, does that work?
No, and that is a crucial distinction. In NLP, watching yourself on a screen is called a dissociated state. It creates a barrier between you and the emotion.
You're just a spectator.
Exactly. To make this work, you have to be in an associated state. You have to step inside the memory and experience it entirely through your own eyes, in the first person.
So if I'm remembering a time I nailed a speech, I shouldn't see myself at the podium. I need to look out and see the audience from the podium.
Precisely. You need to vividly reconstruct the sensory details. You have to see the bright colors of the room. You need to hear the specific sounds, the sound of the applause, the ambient noise in the room, or even just your own inner voice saying, I actually did it.
So you're really tricking your brain into thinking it's happening right now.
Yes. Most importantly, you need to physically feel your posture straighten up in your chair in the present moment as you remember it. You let that physical sensation of pride spread from your head all the way down to your toes.
That brings us to step 3, turning up the volume. Think about where you are right now listening to this. Imagine a physical dial floating in front of you.
Like a volume knob.
Exactly. As you feel that pride and confidence bubbling up from the memory, mentally grab that dial and turn it up. Amplify the feeling 2 times, then 3 times, then 5 times.
Push it as far as it'll go.
You want to push that emotion until it feels almost like a warm, pleasant electric current buzzing in your chest. You are intentionally forcing your biology to hit its absolute peak.
And right as it is about to hit that peak, we reach step 4.
The anchor itself.
Yes, this is the crucial timing of the anchor. You need to have chosen a unique physical touch beforehand. It should be something you don't do normally, like pressing your thumb and middle finger together with a firm pressure or pinching a specific spot on your knuckle.
Something deliberate.
Right. And here is the absolute most critical detail of the entire process. You must apply that firm touch just before the emotion hits its absolute highest peak.
Just before.
Right as the wave is cresting, you press the button, and you hold it there firmly for about 5 to 10 seconds while that intense feeling of confidence completely washes over you.
It's all about catching that wave.
The timing of that touch cannot be overstated. During those 5 to 10 seconds, millions of neurons are firing simultaneously, desperately trying to link the physical sensation of the pressure on your skin with the massive chemical explosion happening in your head.
Neurons that fire together, wire together.
It is Hebb's law in real-time action.
But equally important to pressing the button is step 5, the release. The source material is very strict about this. You absolutely must let go of the touch before the emotion naturally begins to fade. Why is the release timing so important?
Think of it like a camera recording a mountain climber. Your brain is a meticulous recorder. If you hold the touch while the feeling of confidence starts to naturally subside, your brain will keep recording.
Oh, I see.
It will record that downward slope. It will accidentally link your physical button to the feeling of the emotion weakening and fading away.
You definitely don't want that.
Yeah, no, you only want the brain to capture the absolute summit of the mountain. So you have to release the physical pressure while you're still at the very top of that emotional peak.
Catch the peak, drop the connection before the come down. That makes total sense. And then we get to step 6, which is honestly my favorite quirky detail from the whole text.
The break state.
The break state. The very second you release the touch, you need to immediately open your eyes, move your body a little bit, and do something completely random and distracting. The source actually suggests trying to remember your home address backward. I love that so much.
It sounds totally silly, but it is a brilliant psychological tool.
How does doing something that random help?
By abruptly shifting your cognitive focus to a random, slightly difficult mental task, you immediately sever the emotional pattern you were just deeply immersed in. It acts like a hard reset on your conscious mind.
A hard reset.
That abrupt break ensures that the newly created anchor is sealed off and safely locked away down in your subconscious, untampered with by whatever you think about next.
Okay, so let's review the whole process. You've done the breathing to reach the alpha state. You've vividly visualized the memory in the first person. You've ridden the wave, pressed the button just before the peak, let it go, and recited your address backward.
You did the work.
Now what? Now you have to test the hardware. You wait a little while until you are feeling perfectly normal, perfectly neutral. Think about what you're going to have for lunch. Then fire the anchor.
Press the button.
Press those exact same 2 fingers together with the exact same amount of pressure. If your chest suddenly expands, your posture automatically corrects itself, and you feel a sudden, undeniable surge of energy rising up.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations. You have successfully engineered a Pavlovian response on your own nervous system.
And just to be clear, if it doesn't hit you like a lightning bolt the very first time you test it, do not be discouraged.
Right, it takes practice.
Your nervous system requires precision. You might have been a split second late on the timing, holding it during the come down, or the memory you chose might not have been emotionally intense enough to trigger a strong chemical release.
So what do you do then?
This is where repetition becomes vital. In neurobiology, every time you successfully repeat this installation process, you thicken something called the myelin sheath.
I've heard of the myelin sheath. If we think of our neural pathways like copper electrical wires, the myelin sheath is like the rubber insulation wrapped around the outside of the wire, right?
That is the perfect analogy. It wraps around your nerve fibers to protect the signal. The thicker that insulation gets through repetition, the faster, stronger, and more stable the electrical signal becomes.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
By repeating the installation process a few times over a week, you are literally upgrading the biological cabling of your new secret button, making the automatic response much more powerful.
And once you have a really strong button with thick insulation, the source talks about taking it to the next level with an advanced technique called stacking.
This is a great technique.
This is so cool. You use the exact same physical touch, like pressing that same thumb and middle finger together, but you pair it with entirely different memories of success.
Right.
You go through the whole process again, but this time you visualize the day you graduated, or the day you nailed a massive creative project, or a time you stood up for yourself. You are stacking multiple peaks of success onto one single physical trigger.
Yes.
It's like taking a bunch of fast-flowing rivers and combining them all into one massive, unstoppable waterfall of confidence. When you press that button in the real world, you aren't just accessing one good day. You are summoning the combined chemical power of all your best moments at once.
It's an incredibly powerful concept, building that waterfall, but there is a biological warning that comes with it that we have to
A
discuss.
little warning.
Yes, the human brain is ruthlessly efficient. It utilizes a process called synaptic pruning. Think of your brain as a gardener. If there is a neural connection or a branch that isn't being used regularly, the gardener assumes it's no longer necessary.
It's just taking up space.
Exactly. And it will literally prune it away to save energy for other tasks. It will delete the connection.
So it really is a use it or lose it situation.
It absolutely is. You have to perform maintenance on your button. You can't just build it once in your living room and expect it to last for 10 years without upkeep.
How do we maintain it?
The best way to maintain it is to recharge the battery in real time. Whenever you experience a genuine win in your daily life, even a small one, like having a surprisingly great meeting, solving a tough problem, or just having a really great laugh with a friend.
Right, as you feel that natural spike of joy and pride, you press your secret button.
Yes. By doing that, you are actively reminding the gardener to keep that branch healthy. You are reinforcing the wiring, thickening that myelin sheath, and keeping the connection sharp and responsive for when you truly need it.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? The core takeaway from this deep dive is deeply empowering. Confidence is not some rare, magical, genetic gift that was only handed out to a lucky few extroverts at birth.
It really isn't.
It's a specific chemical configuration. It is a biological network of neural pathways. And the most exciting part is that you can be the architect of that network.
You're in control.
You do not have to be a victim of your automatic emotional reactions when the pressure is on. You can consciously design, strengthen, and summon your own bravery on demand. You can walk into that terrifying presentation with your hand in your pocket, invisibly pressing a button and flooding your system with the exact chemicals you need to completely dominate the room.
This raises a really important, slightly provocative question, though, a thought I want to leave you with today. We just spent all this time learning how incredibly easy it is for the brain to wire a simple physical action to a massive emotional state, often completely by accident.
Right.
Knowing exactly how that wiring works, how many negative anchors have you accidentally installed in yourself over the years?
Oh, wow.
Do you have a specific way you slump in your desk chair right before you start procrastinating? Is there a certain heavy sigh you let out that instantly makes you feel defeated? Your brain might have wired those physical actions to negative emotional states without you ever realizing it.
That is wild to think about.
But now that you know how the machinery works, how might you go about finding those negative anchors in your daily life and finally uninstalling them?
Ooh, that is such a brilliant point to end on. Finding the accidental bugs in our own code and actively clearing them out. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Take these tools, start experimenting with your own neurobiology, and begin exploring the incredible machinery of your own mind. We'll see you next time.